Okay, it's been a minute since I did this type of video. Um, I was very sick, and as a result, I couldn't film. So I did manage to put out a few videos within that period, but it's nice to be back again. So today's video is basically sort of like my experience driving, daily driving this car. So after driving this for over a year, um, I think I'm inching towards a year and a half now. So a year and 3.5 months, 28,386 kilometers driven so far. So this video, I want to talk about sort of like a broad spectrum of things. The things that impressed me since I got this car that have impressed me so much. Some of you know the answers to some of these already. And the things that, your expectations are quite high about that Tesla didn't really live up to the expectations. So I would be I'll be talking about you trying to like I like how that car behind me didn't allow her get in as well. I don't know why people try to act as if actually like all three of them didn't allow her to get in. Like she tried to pull out from behind the cars and then try to get in ahead of them. Like it doesn't make sense. Like think about it. So basically, with respect to owning a car and driving this kind of vehicle, the things that impresses you on day one might not necessarily be the things that would still impress you after driving it, every day for a year. It kind of loses at some point. Every shiny new toy, every brand new stuff loses its appeal, loses its, that kind of novelty that comes with you driving a new vehicle. After a while, it goes away. But so this video, I'll be talking about from the perspective of me being a parent, daily driving this car, and driving it in Vancouver conditions. I used to drive it in Calgary as well. Drove it in like some of the most extreme, weather conditions. So I'll be sharing that perspective with you guys. So what has aged well? That's the first thing I want to talk about. What has aged well with this car? One, home charging. So if you are going to get a Tesla, if you're going to get an EV, home charging is absolutely non-negotiable. Now, you can get around it in some places, and by home charging, it could be level 1 or level 2. So, and I've said this in previous videos, if you live in a place where it gets very cold, say like Calgary, it is non-negotiable for you to get a level 2 charger, because in winter it's gonna drain a whole lot, and when the battery drains a whole lot, you need to drive around, especially when you need, like, what takes up in a good chunk of the battery power is you starting up the car, warming the car up, heating up the cabin. That's what consumes most of the power. Aside that, you will get around with it, nice. So if you live in a place like Calgary, in a place, where it gets really cold, where you get minus double digits in Celsius, you absolutely need a level 2 charger. In a place like Vancouver, you're fine with a level 1. Your regular plug, your regular outlet, as far as I'm concerned, that qualifies for home charging as well. You see, did you notice something? Oh. Okay, I thought it was going to want to go out that way because this guy was coming. But the car just waited for give way to that car. This is something I noticed that humans do not do. It's trying to line itself up. Yeah, do your thing. Anyway, so you absolutely need home charging if you live in a place where it gets really cold. In a place like Vancouver, you can get away with it. For most part of the states, like down south, if you live in where it doesn't get too cold in winter, honestly, you're fine with your regular plug. Since we moved back to Vancouver, we've not had a home charger. It's just been like the regular outlet. And honestly, I've been fine with it. Once in a while at work, I get to park in a parkade that has a level 2 charging. Even though the price is not too bad, But then when you factor in having to pay for parking for it, it becomes ridiculous. It's not worth it. So I just mostly use like a level 1 charger home. So home charging is something that has aged really well with this car. I remember someone telling me then that you absolutely need to get a home charger. It's not negotiable, and that was something that I'm happy that a decision I'm happy I made. So if you're planning to get an EV, that's on that Tesla right there next to me. If you're planning to get an EV, if you live, depending on where you live, a level 2 charger. If it's not too cold, level 1 is fine. The next thing will be the driving. You say this thing drives very smooth. So FSD is is the bliss, being able to just sit behind the wheels while the car chauffeurs me around. I'm basically in an Uber without paying for an Uber. And for what it's worth, even though like the FSD, I got it with the car itself, so I'm not paying monthly subscription for it. Thinking about it, if you are going to pay someone to drive you around, are you going to pay them $100 a month? No. So, for what it is worth, I've said it that this car is not completely sentient yet. So it doesn't, maybe on that scale, doesn't fully equate to how a human would reason. But in terms of what it needs to do, like you guys saw from the start of this video, and like with so many other videos that I've shown you guys, from the start to the end, it does end-to-end driving smoothly. Like even in heavy rain, the last video that I shared with you guys, it's a drive to Seattle. The rain was pouring. Even in the dark on our way back home, the car was just doing its thing. I had zero, not zero intervention. It messed up at some point where it needed to park. But aside those very little skirmishes, overall, the car does a good job. Now we're stuck behind this car. Is it gonna make? Okay, it's gonna make it. Otherwise, I was gonna say you guys should watch, and you'll see this car go out from behind, the car ahead, find it like a normal human will drive. I would say, a little bit more cautious than a human, which from a safety standpoint, you can't complain about that. That's okay. The third thing that has aged really well with this car, with the Tesla Model Y, daily driving it, has been the software update. So, I didn't share with you guys the last 14.2.2.5. Yeah, like I said, I was sick. I couldn't record. And, there's been so many videos about it out there. I don't believe in just, churning out content just because I just want to, put something out. I believe in it being relevant. Although I would wish YouTube hasn't nuked my channel. My impressions have dropped really, really low. And that affects like the views that I get on the channel as well. So if you guys can do me a favor, share this video around, leave a comment, like the video. It helps a great deal. That said, like I was talking about software, it's a really big deal. You see, if you go on here, click the release notes, you would see on a regular basis, these are like updates that has happened in the last while with this vehicle. These are the updates that have happened in the last while. Minor, like the regular software updates in the car industry, Tesla beats the pack. It's second to none. Of course, we might complain about it sometimes and say, oh, you guys are not balanced. You're giving some persons access and not giving the rest of us access. Those little complaints. Oh, why did you ask us to turn on requests that you want early access if we wouldn't be getting early access anyway? Those are things I complain about in the spirit of fairness. But honestly, if you want to compare it to anyone else, any kind of car brand, like Tesla is not their mate, not by a long shot. So software updates, best in class as well. So that takes me to the final thing regarding what I really enjoy regarding this car. I'll talk about the build quality. So when I was before getting a Tesla, you probably will see many videos about this as well online. People saying, oh, panel gaps, the car rattles, yada yada yada. And I would say, when I was getting the car during the tour, you see, we're looking around, checking. I did like a detailed, detailed view. checking it. I went with someone as well. We're checking for panel gaps. There were no panel gaps in this car. So I would say if you bought, say, 2021, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, maybe the car would have, they had panel gaps at that time. But in terms of the quality, it has improved a great deal. Like Tesla has aged well in that sense. So as far as I'm concerned, build quality, and also you can't really complain about it if the car does what it needs to do, and you don't have any issues about it. So like I said, build quality absolutely spotless. I'm fine with it. I've had no issues. Once though, I would say I had it's a creaking sound when I roll down, this window, but I don't know. I wasn't sure what it was. You know, Probably maybe water because it was a time when there was rain. When the rain dried up, I couldn't hear that sound anymore. And even after it has rained again, I couldn't hear that. So honestly, nothing to complain about in terms of the build quality. Now, I've talked about the pros. Let's talk about what some might consider the cons. What are some of the things that have not aged well? So, talking about the build quality, I'll start with the stiff suspension. This car, Tesla Model Y, has got quite stiff suspension. The ride is not the smoothest. In Canadian dollars for an almost $80,000 car, I do think the ride should be way better. I've driven a Lexus, and I think they have better suspension than the Tesla Model Y does. So if you're comparing in that sense, like that luxurious feel, it doesn't have that. And that also sort of goes in with the next thing regarding the build quality, maybe the converse of the build quality. There's an element of road noise in this car. I know as I'm recording, I'm using a microphone that sort of filters that out. So you guys will probably not hear it, but there's a sort of noise in this. I'm going to keep quiet. Let me see if you guys would hear it. So we're not moving very fast. Maybe when we get on a faster road, I would see if I can hear it. I'll pause again at that time. But there is like this sort of like a bit of road noise that you can hear. I would say I tend to notice that more on older, much more older roads like this one. When it's a newly constructed road, I barely hear. Like you can, especially when you move from. So when when we're in Calgary, like at some point on Stony Trail, where the new construction starts and where the older one stops, you can hear the marked change in road noise. Like it's very distinct, very clear. So that was not something I had. I experienced driving a Lexus. So I'm comparing like that comfort in terms of like sense of luxury, and I think it has to do with them not putting enough padding and stuff to line up the ceilings and then the doors, um, um, the door seals. I think that's probably what's responsible for that. But that's something that I think um, Tesla could improve upon. But I think on the other side too is when they add those things, it probably affects the weight of the car. But the battery is heavy anyway. I'm just playing devil's advocate and sort of thinking out loud. If maybe it plays a part in the aerodynamics of the car, maybe that's probably as a result of design choice, or it could also be as a result of Tesla trying to manage costs. Whatever it is, that's something that I have an issue with or that I've not enjoyed. Over driving the car. But is it something that affects like my quality of life? Absolutely not. I barely feel it. Like I barely think about it. It's just normal. It's fine in that sense. The other thing will be service appointments. I've had to go in once to go when we moved here to go change the number plates. I booked an appointment because so in Calgary where we bought the car, they don't have front plates with in Calgary, and as a result, what that means is when I came here, you had to like put in a new stuff there. And so I had to take it in for them to be the ones to sort of drill it in and put the number plate. Getting an appointment was a problem. Getting an appointment was a challenge. So although I know it's beginning to improve, but Tesla could do better with service availability. If you do need something you need to get something done with the car. Yeah, might take your time a little bit. So that's a big problem that I think in the Tesla community that people complain about. But if the car does fine, I've not had any cause to visit. I've only had to go in once in one full year. Then, then I have nothing to complain about in that sense. Now, this one I'm going to talk about is a bit of a contentious issue. It's about storage for the Model Y. Some would argue that, oh, there's a frunk and then the sub trunk and then the trunk. However, this car is still quite limited in space. And here's what I mean. I used to drive a Nissan Pathfinder. You see, the Nissan Pathfinder, I use that car to load up from here to Calgary. I filled that SUV to the brim. That SUV, contained a what's it called? A queen bed frame, and then lots of other stuff that I was moving as well when we're moving to Calgary. I can't say the same for this car when we're moving back. I still filled it to the brim, like I always do. But even just going out, like I said, I want to go camping. I'm trying to become Canadian. I know the family back home will be wondering, or those friends will be like, this black man camping in the bush after leaving the bush to come and live in the city. Anyway, I digress. So there is that feeling that the car is not as spacious for an SUV. As it is, if once I put, when I'm packing things, we have this wagon. It would not comfortably fit the wagon and fit my child's stroller. And this stroller I'm talking about is not even the big stroller. I'm talking about a smaller stroller. It won't fit both things at a time. And I think that to me speaks to a lack of space for the car. Although I have bunch of junk in the front that I probably should move out since I don't use them on a regular. But some of them I have like a jack in there as well, just in case because this car doesn't have a spare tire. But of course I'm not required to carry it. I could easily get roadside. Actually thinking about it, I have BCAA. Okay, now I'm gonna take out the jack because I'm just, as I'm talking you guys through this, I'm also thinking about it. I just realized I actually do have coverage. So I don't even need to haul around the jack and haul all that weight and space. Anyway, the point is the storage in this car is quite limited, depending on your need. And I'm speaking from a point of view of a family man, who has a child. If we have 2 kids and we need to put in 2 strollers, but for regular grocery family of 3, even I still load it up. I go buy stuff. It's still fine. But yeah, the storage could be better. And that's part of what I'm quite skeptical about with the Model YL. The demos that I've seen so far, I think the space is even going to be much more limited than this. And it makes you question. If a family is buying that car as a Model YL to fit, a family, a bigger sized family, think about it. A bigger sized family, who needs a 3rd row will probably need more trunk space as well, which the car would not be able to provide because the trunk space has actually been reduced, to make room for the 3rd row. So just storage issues, generally, something to kind of bring out. Is it going to go in before this car? Yes. The BMW was trying to kind of speed up, but the car just, caught right in front. It's a beautiful day. Time change just happened. So it's 6:09 p.m. right now, and the day is still bright. So, which is kind of nice. So, you know, that kind of segues into the next thing I was talking about, or I wanted to talk about, which is like the things that people generally do not talk about. I think this car is a good daily driver. If you have a family of a smaller size family of three, maybe family of four, you can still go with it. A family of five, it's an absolute no. You know, but then daily driving is, putting car seats in here, it does just fine. Cleaning my toddler's mess hasn't been too much of a challenge or a problem. Um, Although I do think, it absorbs dirt just fine. you know, um, yeah, just generally a good car to drive. So just sort of like to wrap this up, I think I've been speaking and sort of rambling a little bit over here. I would say generally Tesla as a brand, the Tesla Model Y gets a lot of things correctly, gets a lot of things right. But then when you live with a car on a daily basis, the experience is a bit more nuanced than, oh yeah, it's a perfect car for you or not. So if you're looking to buy a Model Y, or if you're looking to get into the EV space, some of the things that I've mentioned, being able to charge the drive. One thing I didn't mention though, which is like a big plus for a Tesla, which maybe might not even be a win for them anymore, which is probably why I skipped it, is the availability of the supercharging network all around. It makes your life a bit much more easier. So, great car. I've enjoyed it. And I'm kind of moving into the next stage of the things I want to be doing with the car. I went camping last fall with a friend. I'm going to be making my next video is going to be about that. It's not necessarily a Tesla video, but I want you guys to watch it because it represents where I'm going next. I want to be camping in this car, and that was my first foray into experiencing camping. So I'm not going to say much about it, but watch out for that video. Let me know what you guys think on this video. What are your thoughts? When you bought a Tesla, for those of you who own a Tesla, what was that thing that surprised you the most about owning a Tesla? Maybe preferably maybe a Model Y. What surprised you the most about it? What is that thing you enjoy the most about it as well? If you can let me know in the comment section. For those of you who do not have one yet, who are looking to buy one, what's that thing that would make you not to buy a Tesla today? I don't want to preempt your answers, but I have some thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and enjoy the rest of the drive. I will see you guys on the next one. Cheers. Yes, I mean, what?
Everything go go my chin. My chin. Everything go go my chin.
Now I know I said I was done talking, but did you notice the car pulling out? Like I'm actually going in from here. Where was he rushing to? Anyway, it overtook two cars. For what?
I know if you do. Go go my chin. I'm gonna go sing my soul action. Oh my chin.
Good boy. You see? Notice that a pedestrian needed help crossing the road, waited for them to cross. A human likely would not do that. And there brings another thing that I'm going to speak to, even though I already said, see you guys on the next one. Um, by the way, it's kind of crazy. My daughter mimics me now when she watches my videos on YouTube. Once it's getting to the end, I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Cheers, which is kind of neat. Anyway, so you see, I says it should take me into the parking garage, but then this is something that full self-driving still hasn't gotten right yet. The day Tesla gets this right, probably that's the day FSD, will be fully solved. So it's supposed to go around this, what's it gonna do? No, wrong location. It's gonna bring me into the property before that. Now, I finally caught it on camera. You know, what's happening? Wow. Did you guys see what I just saw? Like, what are they doing there? Like, it's literally on the wrong side of the road. Like, wow. And if the camera is still picking them, not anymore. But like, why do people do this though? Like, going on the wrong side of the road for what? By the way, FSD failed this. But anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for riding with me. Cheers.